Welcome back to the Doorkickers player channel. This is mission 71 Clearing House. Now, this one took me a while. I have it in two separate attempts here. You can see this one is 43 minutes. This was the first attempt. Obviously failed. But yeah, I tried a bunch of different things. And the second successful attempt took me about 20 minutes. So this was the successful attempt here. We'll just skip to the replay. Okay. All right.
Primary target.
Lock and load. Let's do this.
Okay, so starting off, we've got, let's see here. Okay. I think I'll do this one in red. So we've got 4 operators here. Now, I have them switching weapons to pistols, as well as these 2 operators are switching weapons to pistols. So that's an interesting choice. Not entirely sure why I did that. Oh, it's because the pistols were silenced. So the pistols were silenced here, and because of that, it just made more sense to switch the pistols until rifles were needed. That's what it seems like we're doing. Then I've got 2 operators going this way. Right, you can see that they kind of just turn this way. It's just a smart pen. So they're going that way and then that way, and those 2 are kind of just use a regular draw. Okay. So we've got the first 2 going this way, like that ish, and then these 2 are going to go straight ahead, and these 2 also go straight ahead. That's what we've got so far. Now, interesting thing, in the successful attempt, I'm not going around this way with these 2 operators. Instead, I'm turning around and going that way, which is an interesting choice. In terms of this game, it's better to just clear everything. So I recently replayed this mission and I had these guys going like that. You know, well, technically like that, but either way. Yeah, so usually I would want to clear this area, but I guess in this attempt I didn't. We'll find out.
Holding. Moving.
Okay, so I guess I ended up. Let's go back a couple frames here. So I ended up scrapping the change to pistol. So these guys are still going to rock with the rifles.
Holding. Moving. Eyes on the target.
Who's here?
And for the record, there's always what's this? Didn't I? Yeah, so for the record, there's always a tango right in that corner there. And yeah, just beware of that guy.
Hold it right there.
Yeah, so far everything seems to be normal. So I did end up going this way, as I should have in the first place, but that was because the tango who was originally here ended up moving that way. So um yeah, so the tango that was here ended up moving that way. So I had these 2 guys go around this container right here. And it seems, I don't know, like, That's just, I mean, technically that's just the way you're supposed to do it, right? Is to have the operators go this way. But yeah, I didn't know that at the time. Also, the tango is not always here. Tango is sometimes. I need a good color. Why is there no good colors? Is white a good color for this? No. I need something that stands out. You know what I'm saying? Yellow? Nope. Red is the only one that kind of stands out, really. It's still blending in. I need a good. This is stupid. Um, what if I did that? White. Eh. Let's see, stamp. No color on this. For some reason, there's no color on the stamp. I don't know why that is. So let's go back to shapes. All right, let's just do arrow. And I guess that works. No, it doesn't. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, red will have to do. Or white. Yeah, I prefer white. Okay, so the tango is not always here. The tango, the person that has the arrest warrant on them will sometimes also be like here or here, and also like even if they are standing here, which a lot of times they are standing like in this area, um, they'll sometimes like go that way and then that way. Sometimes they'll go that way. So you kind of have to be dynamic with this mission. You can't just like set up a whole um, route to clear it. So I ended up going this way with these two operators, but I should have just made that the route. Like I shouldn't have adjusted only once this guy started rabbiting that way. I should have initially had this route clear this way, because then if you have any tangos that are here or here, they kind of, these guys can kind of, get there and work on this area right here. So yeah. This was really tricky. I recently redid this mission, and the tangos that are in this area right here, if these operators if these operators see them first, and the suspect is right here, then the tangos might shoot through the suspect and end up killing the suspect, which makes you restart the mission. So you kind of have to be really careful about that. So I'm doing a pretty good job right here of kind of just following the suspect, clearing the angles. What I what I would have done in hindsight is I would have had two guys hold right here, even though he's rabbiting that way, because there can always be people coming out of here, coming through here, coming that way to attack, and you kind of want to just keep control of this whole area right here, right? So you want to keep as much control as you can, because at the end of the day, you still have to take the suspect all the way to the rescue zone, and the rescue route is, well, like this, right? So that means if anyone comes through here, they can attack, right? If anyone is coming through here, they can shoot the suspect or shoot your operator, right? So you really want to maintain control of any areas that you might need later, right? And so what I would have done in hindsight is I would have had two operators here, two operators here, and then two operators here arresting the suspect, and then one operator, one of these operators would move here and then face that way, and then the other operator together with the tango would move this way. And the reason they would move this way is because you have coverage of this whole area here. You have coverage of this whole area here, which then includes anything here, right? So anything that's here either has to pass through them or pass through them. So you have coverage of those areas. And then, which means that effectively you have coverage of this entire area as well, right? Because they have to pass through one of these doors, right? Which you have coverage of. And then also there's a third operator, there's a fifth operator here just in case there's anyone like in this area right here that wants to come out. Boom. Right? So you effectively have complete control over, you know, over this entire thing, right? You have complete and utter control of everything here, right? So that's what I would have done in hindsight.
Back. Moving. No tango. Primary target secured. On your mark. No tango. X-ray down.
So because I didn't do that, now I have to bring these operators back, to cover all the different angles that people could be coming out of, which just causes me to be more vulnerable in the long run.
X-ray down. Looks on your mark.
Now you can see I'm kind of like collapsing, with these operators, once the operators sort of last man, right? So now these guys are moving back that way. And then these guys are going to collapse in, and then these guys are going to move back that way, which is a mistake. It works it might work in real life, but this is not real life. This is a video game, so yeah. In the game, it's a mistake. Just leave your operators. What I would do is I would leave one operator here, two operators, and three op. There we go, two, right, and then one operator taking the suspect over to here, right, and this just gives you coverage of all that, right? So there's really no need to like move your operators back because you have complete coverage, and then this entire area has already been previously cleared, so you know that there's no bad guys coming from this area, so you only have to watch this area, right? That's what I would do in hindsight.
Holding.
Okay, so I guess I'm collapsing the other way,
Moving.
which
Covering.
is another
Holding.
mistake. Don't do
Holding.
that. And I'll explain why. So when you collapse, not by collapsing, right? So we had one operator go this way with the suspect. We'll change the color for that, right? So we had operator with the suspect going this route, okay? Right? Now we have this will be team 1, right? So team 1 was originally right. So you can see we have team 1 are going to go this way, right? And then team 2 is going to follow them this way, right? Which is a mistake. It is an absolute mistake, and I'll explain why. When you're collapsing, you don't want to have the suspect alone with an operator in the front, right? Essentially, in the front means that these guys now have to clear this area by themselves, well, by himself, right? Because it's one operator, right? And what I thought I was doing at the time was I thought that by using team 1, I could clear, well, I would clear this area, okay? I thought that team 1 would clear this area, which would protect this guy, right? Providing coverage for this guy, while team 2 is, well, covering this and then joining team 1 and covering this, right? That's what I thought I was doing. But in reality, what I was doing was I left, we'll use the white for, well, we'll use this for attack, right? So if I was a tango and these guys were coming this way, and then, right, so when you turn around, when team 2 turns around to go that way, right, this, sorry, tangos can now come back from this area and attack from behind, okay? Additionally, tangos can go this way, leaving team leaving the red team completely vulnerable from behind. What you want to do when you're collapsing is you want to cover the front and the back, right? So you want to have, well, in this case, I was covering the front because I had 2 operators here, so we'll just make it 2 operators, right? So in this case, when you collapse, what you would want to do is this, right? Because now, no matter what you do with the 3 teams, okay, no matter what you're doing, you're still covering the suspect and each other, right? You're working together as a team, as a unit, right? So you go, right? So when you go back, you come back, but you keep your eye on that way, right? So these guys collapse in, collapse in, collapse, 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 right? So when these guys come around here, the suspect would stay behind over here, and then team red would cover this way, which would then allow for team yellow to come in, right? You understand what I'm saying? While team green covers the rear. Does that make any sense? So that would be the correct way to collapse, right? So if we start from here, right? Let's go back. Okay. So target secure, right? The correct way to do it would be like this. Team, okay, we'll call them team 1. So team 1 moves, if you want to collapse, team 1 moves this way, covers that. Okay, or if because team 1 has the suspect, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do team 2 is going to come in here, start covering this area. Okay? That's team 2. Sorry. Team 2 is going to come here, cover this, and wait at this position. At that point, team 1 is going to start moving this way. Now they're going to hold this position. Okay? Once team 1 moves, that's when team 3 is going to collapse in and hold this position right here. So facing that way. Okay? So at this point, we've got, we'll start from the beginning. So team 2 goes first. Team 2 goes this way, then this way, covering this area. Okay? Then team 1 goes this way, and then this way, and covers this area. Then Team 3 starts the collapse. So Team 3 comes here, and they watch this way. Okay? They're covering this area. So all of this is being covered by Team 3. Okay? At that point, Team 2 starts collapsing in and saying last man. Okay? They last man them, right? So last man, okay? They move forward and move this way and cover. Once they have this position, Team 3 moves back and collapses on them, right? So overtakes them basically, right? So either they can help them take this position or they can move and cover that. It doesn't matter, right? Or they can take a completely new position. Once Team 3 passes Team 1, which is the red, only then do they move forward and reach their destination, right? And this is done because at any point in time, you have coverage from the front and from the rear, right? So you're covering 12 and 6 o'clock. So this is, so whenever team 1 is the last team, right? They're covering this way, right? Because as soon as team 2 overlaps them, they don't have to cover this area here. So they can turn around and cover that right? So that's what essentially that's what should have happened. Okay?
On your mark. No tango. Right now. Right now. Look on your mark. Holding.
But instead, right now we're in an extremely vulnerable position, right? Because we have coverage of this area by this team, right? But then as soon as these guys turn around, there's no coverage for them. So anybody coming from that area or that area can easily take these guys as soon as they turn around, right? So it's either they don't turn around and go that way, right? So it's either they go this way, but keep facing that way, so they'd have to move like backwards, right? Or they turn their backs. So this is just a bad position to be in, right? But if team 2 had been here covering this way, then team 3 could have just moved past them, right? So this is a bad collapse.
Moving. Holding. Now. Holding. No tangos. Cover. Stay here.
Primary target in custody.
So overall, I'd say this was a bad mission. This was a bad attempt. It worked at the end of the day, but it wasn't that well done. In hindsight, there are a lot of things I should have done better. So, yeah, that's just sort of what I've got to say about that. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I should do this, but I'm thinking if from now on I just record and upload what I would do now. Actually, honestly, I think it's good that I made mistakes, because then I can like point out exactly what mistakes I made and why it's bad and stuff. So yeah, we'll keep showing the bad successful attempts, right? Um, yeah, overall, it was a pretty difficult mission. Took me two total attempts. First attempt was what, 45, 43 minutes, right? And then the second attempt was 19 minutes ish. So we'll call it we'll call it at 18 and a half minutes, right? So overall, this took me about an hour to get right, which means that this is a pretty tough one. The one before that actually was extremely tough, or a few before, not the one before, a few before. Forgot which one it is, but either way, this one's pretty tough. Also, the weapons that you have in this mission and the armor that you have, it all makes a big difference. I think I'll go into that later on when I go second time around, which I'm thinking of doing. Either way, if you like this video, make sure to let me know that in the comments. If you want to see more of these kinds of videos, feel free to give a like and a subscribe. And if there's anything else you want to see in these videos, feel free to let me know on that as well in the comments. And until next time.